All right, today we're going to start this garage floor conversion to the Rocksolid Garage Floor Coating. I have the Polycuramine Mocha High Gloss. It's a 3-car garage, and they only sell these in 2.5-car kits for some reason instead of 3. So you have to buy more if you have a 3-car garage. So I have 2 of them. Got them at Home Depot for about 270 bucks. So been watching some videos online, and I see you need more than what the kit says anyways. So if you have a 2.5-car garage, you're gonna need more than the 2.5-car kit. So we'll see how much I end up using. This is everything I have that I've read about based on the instructions or online. And essentially I started off by cleaning the garage. This is a new build, so it's not too bad anyways. So I cleaned the garage, blew it out, swept it out first. Now I'm going along some of these spots here with a little sander. I have 60 grit. Just take these high spots off. I already did some here, you can tell. So just rough it up, get rid of all that excess stuff like this. Comes off with a little bit of elbow grease. After that, I'm going to clean it out with this degreaser, and then we'll etch it and follow the instructions in this kit. So I've got my pressure washer there as well. That's what I'm going to use to rinse out the garage. Following that, I'm going to fill in some minor cracks. You can see I have one from the foundation settling here. And for that, I bought the Rocksolid recommended kit for that. That's actually over here. Concrete patch and cure. After that, you lay down the epoxy. So here we go. so I just got done spraying the degreaser and cleaner, and definitely feels a lot cleaner in here. I ended up going over some of the spots that were sanded down and got up the residue a little bit better. So overall, it's pretty good. I'm gonna etch it next. Well, first I have to squeeze out the water, and then I'll etch it next. I would say that it's important that you have to go over this several times to get the cleaner and degreaser out. I went over it a total of 3 times, and I still feel like there might be a little bit left, but I'm gonna etch it, and I should get the last bit out after I etch it. I also would suggest not doing a 1-to-1 ratio of that cleaner degreaser, because it's going to take even longer for you to get that stuff up. Now, if you have a really oily garage, sure, go ahead and use a bunch of it. But if you don't, if it's pretty clean like mine was, I would probably do 1-to-4 ratio. I did 1-to-2, and that was probably overkill. So, all right, next, squeegee and etch. Okay, as I was saying, go light on that degreaser, because as you can see, I'm squeegeeing and there's a lot of suds in it still. So I'm probably gonna go over this one more time after I squeegee all this out. I'll go over it one more time with the pressure washer and then squeegee again for a second time. All right, so I got this cleaned again. I went over it with low pressure, took the nozzle off the hose and sprayed it down with basically more water flow to get all that soap out of here. I think I got it all now. So next, we're going to etch the surface, and this is actually a mild citric acid. It says do not use muriatic acid. So I know muriatic acid is very harmful if you get it on your skin and whatnot. I'm not so sure about citric acid, but I'm gonna wear gloves anyways. So basically, put this in a 2-gallon bucket. I have that water canister that's actually 2 gallons. They sell that at Home Depot. So easy math there. I'm gonna put it in there. And then they say to wet the surface a little bit before you do this. So I'm actually gonna use the mist function on that nozzle. Mist it down. They don't want any pooled water. If you have pooled water, you're supposed to squeegee it up. So I'm just gonna mist it so it's nice and light. Then I'm going to apply the etching compound in the 10 by 10 area. So these are all these squares are 10 by 10, I believe. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares at a time. So you etch a 10 by 10 area, scrub it in, rinse it off, then move on to the next. So I'm putting the etch on right now. Has a little bit of a scent, but it's not, doesn't make you choke or anything. Got a little bit on my hands, but it doesn't really do anything. So you can kind of hear it working, bubbling a little bit, sizzling. So next, basically all you do, scrub it in. Basically hit everything that you did. Then you're gonna rinse it off really good. Then let it dry. All right, now I'm rinsing everything off. I'm nearly done. Essentially what I found is that when you're rinsing it off, at first it's got kind of a greenish yellow tint, and then as you dilute it, it turns clear. So I'm just rinsing everything out, making sure that I don't see any yellow residue anywhere, and rinsing all the way down the driveway so that it doesn't mess up any of the pavers. So the instructions say that if you dilute it enough, it won't mess up the driveway, pavers, whatever. So that's what I'm doing. And after this, just gonna let it dry. So today is day 2. Last night I patched a couple cracks and small little craters I had in the concrete with the Rust-Oleum concrete patch and repair. Pretty straightforward. All you do is mix this one part to 2 parts of that, part B. Use a putty knife and put it on there. As you can see though, I guess I didn't put it on thick enough because that crack is still there. So I'm gonna have to do that again. Although these other areas, you can still, it's actually filled in. It looks like there's a crack there, but there's not. All right, so it's day 2. Last night, I didn't have my phone with me, and so I couldn't record, but I put down the concrete patch and repair on a couple spots. Pretty straightforward. Just use a putty knife and mix part A, 1 part to 2 parts of part B, mix it up, apply it to any cracks you see, any kind of craters, and smooth it out. One problem I did find today that I'm going to have to fix is you can see there's still some residue left on the floor, here for instance, and I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the etching compound that was on my feet, either that or it's some kind of dust from the pavers. If it's some sand, I'm not really sure, but it's pretty much everywhere. So I need to go back and pressure wash it again. So it's going to delay me another day. But yeah, it's pretty much everywhere. I think you can see it from this angle better. It's kind of like a real thin dust, real thin haze. So I'm gonna pressure wash, and then I'm gonna have to let it dry again, and then tomorrow hopefully I can apply the epoxy. All right, it's day 3 now, and I am ready to start applying the polycuramine. And I've got everything filled in. I've got it cleaned out up in here. I got rid of the footsteps. I've got a little bit of tape laid out here. That's where I'm gonna paint up to. They say it's not UV resistant, so you don't wanna paint outside the garage door. So here you can see it's gonna come down directly on top of that. So I'm gonna paint up to this surface, so none of that's exposed whenever the doors are down. Got all my stuff here. Basically, the next step is to combine the polycuramine, part A with part B. You squeeze it and then push it into part B and mix it for a couple minutes with your hands, and you cut it open, and then you start dumping a little bit out. Start along the back, 4x4 sections. After you cut in, actually, it says you want to cut in a little bit along the edge of the wall, and then do a 4x4 section and go from there. I've got one 12-inch layer set around the base here, about 4x4, and then I've got a little bit drizzled out here. They say to do it in about 2 to 3 inch lines, so I'm going to roll that on. This is supposed to be mocha colored. I'm not really sure about that, but no going back now. Now I've laid out a little bit of chips. Not the most perfectly distributed, but they look okay. So I've left, you want to leave a little bit of room for you to roll the next segment. So you leave 12 inches, about 12 inches. You can see I didn't do it perfectly, but that's the idea, 12 inches. And then I'm going to work this way and then back and back and back, basically. And probably going to take me a couple hours, I would imagine, because I have a 3-car garage. The key here is to not push hard. You want to make it pretty thick is what I hear. Don't push it down hard. Just kind of let it glide over the surface so you get a nice thick coat of polycuramine. Okay, I've got the first 10 by 10 block done, and I've got all the chips out there. One thing I'm picking up is that I think I was incorrect saying I want to put it out real thick, because when I was doing that, you can actually see this surface kind of start to crack up a little bit. I don't think it's supposed to be like that. So it might be a little too thick in some areas, but I started thinning it out a little bit, and I think that's also necessary in order to get enough out of this. If it really is a 2.5-car garage, you're definitely gonna have to put it out thinner, not real thick. But then again, a lot of people online say to put it out thick, so we'll see. I'm doing kind of a medium level of thickness. I'm not pushing real hard. I'm getting it to go on thinner than just letting the roller glide, but not too thick. So I also found out that they're saying to do a 4x4 section, but I don't know if that's really necessary, because I'm doing a larger section and it's not drying for sure, and I can still throw the chips out plenty far. I can actually throw the chips all the way to that wall if I need to, so I'm not really worried about not getting the chips out there. So there's that. I've done about 2.5 car spaces and somehow managed to use all of one box, which is supposed to be for 2.5 spaces. So I guess I did something right. I put it out so it's not puddled up, it's not pooling, you can't really see any lines or anything, so I smoothed it out pretty well. I wouldn't say it's super thin, it's not super thick. So far so good, I think. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but we'll see about a year from now. So I have about 1.5 spaces left, and I'm gonna try and do that with one more bag, which I should be able to do, because I did about from there to there with one bag, and then I did all this with one bag. So I should be able to do that with one bag. So to do a 3-car garage, you're definitely gonna need at least a box for a 2.5 car, and then at least another bag of polycuramine, which I don't know if they even sell in all the different colors. I couldn't find it in mocha, so I think you're gonna have to buy another 2.5 car box. But turned out so good. It looks good so far. Show you the update in another 30 minutes or so. It's been about probably hour and a half, 2 hours of applying all this. Started a little bit slower than I'm going now. I'm definitely getting a little bit faster with it as I go, as you would expect. So, almost done. About 3 hours later, and I got the whole garage coated. It's looking pretty good, I think. Not bad for a first-time epoxier. Tomorrow, I'm gonna coat the wall around the perimeter. I'm not gonna use the Rocksolid. I'm just gonna use a mocha epoxy. I think it's like the lower level stuff because it doesn't really wear. It just needs to be coated a light brown. So we'll let it dry. I'm gonna pull up this tape, let it dry, and come back tomorrow, see what it looks like, see how it feels. After 24 hours, it has fully cured and I can walk on it now. Looks really good for the most part. There's a couple of spots that around the edges, you can see the concrete wasn't perfectly, I guess, you know, flat, or it might have been kind of porous. So there's a few areas that don't look like they're coated that well with the epoxy, but I mean, it's a garage, so I don't really care. Here's another spot right here that's a little more noticeable. I did see this as I was doing it, and I coated it a couple of times, but it still must have just absorbed in there a little bit more, or it didn't get coated fully. So whatever. Like I said, it's a garage. It's gonna be a workshop. It'll get put to use, and it's a lot better than paying $4,000, which is what I got quoted to get this done professionally. I mean, that might last longer, sure, but for $600, I'll take it any day of the week. So, as I said last night, I'm gonna go back and coat these perimeter walls with some cheaper epoxy just to make it tan like the floor. So it blends in, looks a little bit better. And also, one thing to note is that when I was applying this, the color wasn't really as tan as it is now. So as it cures, it kind of changed color and looks a lot better. It looks like looks like the color on the box. So I don't really have any complaints about that. So, well, that's about it. I'll update tomorrow whenever I get all that done.